All right, welcome to the show, Feldman, man. Thanks for coming by, man.
Absolutely, baby.
It's been a long time. How long haven't I seen you in?
I don't know. It's got to be about 3 years, 2.5 years.
Yeah, it's been a while, man. So this is Mehdi Feldman, a good friend of mine. I met Mehdi through one of the companies I started working at. And this guy was a top gun when I got there. And you were making big bucks. You were the guy that they told me to go see. And I went in, I shadowed you. You're very nice and pleasant, so I appreciate you for that. I'll never forget that. You didn't just brush me to the side and say, hey, who's this new guy trying to come in here and learn from me? You let me sit by you and you let me shadow you. And I learned a lot from you. And we were in that same team for a while, maybe 6-7 months. And then we kind of grew our separate ways. And I started growing in the company and we kind of lost connection, right? And we kept in touch a little, but then we lost connection. And then I seen you after a while, which was maybe a couple of years. And I didn't see you a couple of years after that. And now you're here. So thank you for being here, man. We appreciate it.
I'm excited. Happy to be here. Thank you.
And Mehdi's actually here for a serious topic, which we're going to get into. We're going to get into addiction today. We're going to get very deep into it. And I appreciate you for being vulnerable and sharing that with us here today, because I think it's important for a lot of people to listen to this that are suffering out there from the same exact things. Even myself, I think addiction lives in everybody. Well, before we get there, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
So my name is Matthew David Feldman.
He goes by the Christian Jew.
The Christian Jew. People call me Maddie. I was born and raised in West Bloomfield. Come from a big family, 8 kids my dad had. 4 with his first wife and 4 with my mom. I'm also a triplet. And unfortunately, one of my triplet brothers passed away from a drug overdose. We'll talk about that later.
Man, I actually forgot you're a triplet. That's crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy. Yeah. It really is.
Was it identical, by the way?
No, we look totally different. It's wild, actually. So, big family. My dad's a doctor. My mom's a nurse. So my whole family's in the medical field, essentially. So I basically saw the opiate epidemic at the ground level, at the forefront, when it first started. So, that's kind of, how my addiction started, essentially. When I was about 14 years old, I got my braces put on to fix my teeth for the first time. And so I was in a lot of pain. And I was sitting in the den of my dad's beautiful new house that he built. And everything was great. My life was fantastic. Everything was going great. And I got handed a Vicodin for the first time in my life.
Because of braces?
Huh?
Because of the pain of the braces?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was horrible. Yeah, my dad, he was trying to help me out. I was, crying in pain. It was horrible.
This was at 14?
Yeah, I would say about 13, 14.
Got it.
And my first Vicodin, instantly fell in love with it.
At 14?
At 14, the first opiate I ever took in my life, I was instantly in love with it. So when people talk about, some people at least, that this is not a disease and, that it's a choice, I believe it's in your genes. If you have addiction in your family, all it takes is one time and then you fall in love with it and then you're battling it for the rest of your life. So that's how it started. Yeah, that's how it started.
So in Acez Academy, I train on, 3 things right now. It's sales, leadership, and mindset. So I do talk to people that are addicted, and I try to train on mindset. So I want to challenge you throughout this conversation, and I want you to challenge me back, because the more I learn from you, the more I could help others, right?
Absolutely.
So when you said right now that it comes from the family, what were you saying?
So it's genetics.
Yeah.
My grandpa was an alcoholic. My mom became addicted to pain pills even before I took my first pain pill. She had major jaw surgery and she got on them. My dad had back surgery the year after, so he was on them. So it was all over the place in my family. But even if it wasn't, I still believe in my genes taking, the first Vicodin. It caused me to fall in love with it.
Yeah, but you're saying that's caused from blood?
Absolutely.
Okay. But let's just say, for example, if your dad never gave you that first Vicodin for the braces, do you think that you would have been offered it again, then it would have started? But what if you were never offered it again? Would it have started again because it's in your blood? I'm just trying to understand.
Absolutely. So even if it took 10, 20 years, I believe anytime I would have taken an opiate from there on out, it would have caused, a snowball
Gotcha.
effect.
And the question comes, if you would have never taken an opiate.
If I never took an opiate, that would be amazing. I wish...
I'm just trying to figure out, because you're saying it's in the genes. So, like, I could say that there's things in my family that they say are in the genes, But if I was never offered it or presented to it in my life, would it really be something that I'd catch addiction to because
No, absolutely not. So if I was never offered it, never thought about it, was never around it, and just never experimented with it, no. I mean, I would have been fine. That's why you have to stay away from it at an early age if you have it in your blood.
Yeah, so you have to be exposed to it for that whole thing to start.
Absolutely.
Got you. Well, so when I met you, how old were you? 2015, 2016?
2015, 30, yeah, about 30 years old.
Okay, by the way, we've never talked about this openly, so when I met you, I had no idea about any of this, but were you on anything at all when I met you? Because it didn't seem like it.
No. So where I was working at the time, where I met Alex, I was good for about the first, 2 years, maybe a little bit less. And to be honest, what happened was, so I was clean going into my most recent employer, and I was sitting next to one of my boys at work, and he happened to have knee surgery, and doctors give you pain pills like it's nothing these days.
Yeah.
So he was there, having a good time, and I saw what he had, and I took my first one, and from there on out, I took it once a week, then twice a week. And then before you knew it, I was taking it every day.
You were clean for 2 years before that?
I was clean for about 3.5, 4 years before that.
So when I met you and you were clean, you were successful. You were one of the top guys on the team, and you were making good money. You were living a good life. I feel like everything was going good. Did anything change when you were presented with that one person that had the pills from the accident? Were you in a worse spot than when I met you, or were you still at the top? Because I think all that plays an effect too of where you are in your life, financially, spiritually, motivational. Where are you what point are you at your life right now that made you make that decision? Were you at a good spot? Were you at a bad spot at the time?
At the time before I relapsed, so at the time I was in an amazing spot. Like you said, I was the top producer at the time, so everything was going fantastic. Okay. But that's what they say is it hits you the hardest is when everything is going great. Just like anything in life, when everything is going great, it never stays. When you're at the top, you got to keep it even killed because you're going to fall eventually. It's just the dynamic of life. Just like Denzel told Will. Absolutely. He said the devil comes to get you when you're at your highest point. Right? It's so true. Yeah. Absolutely. So you were at a good place when this happened. Absolutely. Amazing place. Yeah. The reason why I asked is because a lot of people I talk to that suffer with addiction, usually they relapse or get back into it when something bad happens. That's a trend that I see. Somebody dies, they lose their job, they have a breakup, and that's where they result right back to the opiates or whatever it is that they're addicted to. But I don't find it a lot of times when somebody's at an all-time high and they're doing well. Usually I find when somebody's at an all-time high and doing well, they usually stay away from that because they're happy with the place they're at in life. Well, what I think is it's the complacency, right? When everything is going great, you're not really worried about, your past or things, everything is going great, so you're just not worried about that stuff. So I feel like actually, to be honest with you, when I'm going through hard times, sometimes it actually pulls me away from wanting to take drugs because I'm already at the bottom. I don't, there's nowhere else to go. Oh. So when you're at the top, when things are going great, I could try this, I could take this again, try it, do it once. But it always spirals out of control very fast. And when you're doing very well, especially financially, you figure, I got this. But when you're an addict, you never have it. You always got you got to take it day by day, step by step, and just keep it pushing and make sure you have good people around you. That's why I appreciate you and having me over here. This is therapy for me. Yeah. And we got Hefe over here in the corner. No, I'm just happy to be here and talk about this serious opiate epidemic we're in right now. Like I said, I saw it from the ground up. I could tell you guys some crazy stories, and we'll probably get into that here shortly. So you truly believe that it comes from the family bloodline and the addictiveness of the family? I think it's that. Also, there's the one-off where people just, like drugs and they get addicted and none of their family members are addicts, So it just depends. But yes, 100% if you're around people that are using, or especially if you don't have a home base. So for instance, with my family, I don't really have a home base because most of my family have issues with drugs or so it's tough. That's why it's good to have good people around you. You were born in the fire already. Oh yeah. So you had to try to get out of the fire compared to somebody like me that was born with none of that addiction around, so I didn't even think about it because it wasn't there. Absolutely. But the point I'm trying to make is that really from
genetics or is that from your atmosphere? Because let's say nobody in the family did drugs before, but then you're born with parents that have drugs around you. So that would be your atmosphere, not really genetics. Is it a scientific fact? And I don't know this, I haven't researched it, that it's genetically, passed down if somebody's addicted? Because from what you're saying, if you never seen it or witnessed it, if you went to a foster home and you were never around addiction or you never witnessed it, even though your bloodline had it, could that really come back to you?
Absolutely. Well, first of all, I find it hard to believe that most families don't have one drug addict in it. Would you agree?
Yeah, I'd agree.
Okay, so let's start with that. Now, if you're brought up in an atmosphere like inner cities of America, or just even, going to, college, partying, going to a frat house where there's a lot of drugs, things like that will cause you to develop an addiction. Now, like I would say 25 to maybe 35% of people don't have it in their bloodline, and they just become addicts because they just love it, and they just end up, getting into that cycle where they just can't stop. And it changes your brain chemistry. So here's what happens on a medical level. So when you take drugs, right, recreationally, your body is still producing dopamine and other chemicals to make you happy, right? So when people are on antidepressants, they take that because their brain chemistry is off. And most of the time, your brain chemistry is off from genetics, again, how you were raised, if you had any traumatic event in your life, or, essentially how I think of it as it's hard to put in words, because for me, my experience with drugs is, it's been in my life forever. So yeah, I mean, it's a lot to think about. But we're going back to the chemical imbalance. So if you take drugs every day, your brain stops producing dopamine, serotonin, and it doesn't do it naturally anymore. So for instance, if I were to take, let's say, Percocet, popular, Oxycontin, heroin, whatever, if I took that for anybody, even if you weren't even an addict, if you took that maybe a month, 2-3 months straight, your brain would be like, all right, I'm not going to produce these chemicals that make me happy naturally. And so when you get off the drugs, that's what's called withdrawal. You feel depressed, you have anxiety, you sweat, you're uncomfortable. I mean, I even have anxiety now, but it's just, I'm going through a phase. But so that's what happens. So people end up getting addicted because they want to make sure they keep feeling well. If you're not taking the drug every day, your brain chemistry's out of whack, and you want to feel that good feeling again. So that's why people continue to use. And also another important fact is the withdrawal is horrible. I mean, if you've had COVID, it's probably COVID times 10. And it doesn't just go away. It lingers for about 2 years, literally. I still sweat and, have.
How long has it been for you now?
It's been about, let's see, when did we talk in London? It's been about 4.5 months.
4.5 months.
Yeah.
Which, listen, I give you a lot of props because you took a big step that a lot of people won't take. And what you did was you took a medical leave, which was well needed, and you went from the U.S. to London to go with your brother.
Absolutely.
And you got away from everyone and everything.
Everything. And
you forced yourself to go to an atmosphere and to get out of the country to force that addiction out of you, which I give you major props for because a lot of people don't make that move. So I guess for the people listening, at what point or what made that trigger to say, you know what, I'm fucking done and I'm getting the fuck out of here and I'm cleaning up? What was that switch like for you? Because before you get into that, we talked about how when I met you, you were on the top, you mentored me, you helped me get into my rhythm, and then we split up months after. We didn't talk for a while, and then one time we ran across paths, and if you don't mind, I'll share that story.
I want you to share it. It's actually important to my recovery, to be honest with you, because you mean a lot to me. So
yeah, you told me that, which is very special to me. So thank you, because I love making impact. That's all I do. Obviously, it's why we're here right now. I was walking out of the building and I seen you, and I gave you 5, gave you a hug. I was catching up with you, and you looked a little skinnier. You looked like you weren't the Maddie Feldman that I shadowed and the one that I was on the team with. And I didn't. Maybe I was starting to realize it while we were talking, but I kind of felt like you were a little lost while we were talking. And then while we walked away, I kind of started, clicking in my own head. I'm like, Maddie didn't seem like himself. What was going on? And I didn't even think, because I didn't know anything about the addiction or anything like that. So I didn't think of that right away. But I said there's something going on with him because you seemed a little daisy and off. And I didn't think that was you. And I walked away, and it's funny because we talked about this a couple of months ago. And this is years after, by the way, this happened. We haven't talked since then. But we ended up, I don't even know how we got connected again, but we got connected
fate,
again.
Man. It's
everything in life connects.
Absolutely, man. Everything happens for a reason.
Well, you called me, and then we ended up talking about that situation, and then Maddie ends up telling me that was an important situation to him, too. So why don't you go ahead and...
We'll start by saying you didn't look me in my eye when you saw me messed up, but I appreciate that. Because if you would have acted like nothing was wrong, I would have not cherished our relationship as much. And I'm being so honest with you. And anybody I'm in contact with, if you're a close person of mine or I cherish a relationship, if you don't tell me what's up, you're not a true friend. And that's for any addict out there with anybody that you have around you. If someone's just letting you kill yourself, basically kill yourself. I mean, anyone that's taking hard drugs, it's either jail or the coffin. So by you were standoffish, but I loved it because you were like, no, this is
that was out of her.
You didn't know who I was. I was when I first met you, I was a totally different person. So you're like, who is this guy? And you knew something was off with me. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
You weren't just being fake, putting on a smile.
Yeah.
It was.
Because I was caught off guard. And I don't like hide my feelings,
I love that. Me too. I'm very blunt. Absolutely. That's the only way to be.
I didn't notice I didn't look at you, but if I didn't look at you, it's probably because I was too hurt to look at you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're like, what's this guy doing, man? He was on top of the world. Now he looks like shit.
So how did that make an impact for you?
It was amazing, because at that as you know, when I talked to you from London, I told that was the first thing I said to you. It was like, I remember when I saw you, I kept that in the back of my head. I was still using, even after I saw you, I used for, months and years after that, but I appreciated it,
Yeah.
It just, it's something that people have to understand. If you have in your family or you have it, or your best friend, or even just someone that you, an acquaintance, call them up and tell them, hey, I know what you're doing. I'll help you I'll help you out. And people just don't do that. They're afraid.
I want you to get deeper into that because I know you're going to explain. I want to get into how the process kept going and how it stopped because that's the most important thing. Before you do that, I know some people in my life, okay, that I care about deeply, that when I tell them the same thing you're saying, I want to help you, let's get out of this. This is what the fuck's going on. This is what you're doing. This is how you look. This is how you sound. This is what people are saying. And I tell them that, but they still do not want to grasp the change. What advice do you have for me or anybody out there that wants to help somebody that has an addiction or that's going the wrong path in life, but they're just, at what point, I guess, do you draw the line in the sand and say, you know what, fuck, bro, like I've been fucking trying to talk to this person for just whatever. Go fail on your own, fall on your face. I hope you don't die and I hope you learn. Like at what point do you say that? Or what tips do you have, I guess, because sometimes that doesn't work. Sometimes somebody's so deep into their thing where they're just listening to you one ear out the other and it's like, finish up what you're saying. You're not going to make a difference. And you feel that vibe. So, is there a way to stop that or?
Absolutely. So in my family, like I said, most of my family, if not everyone's an addict with some drug or another, whether it's alcohol, coke, or opiates. And for instance, right now, I'm trying to get my sister clean, right?
Yeah.
I've tried everything in the book. When someone doesn't want to get clean, it's completely different. If someone just doesn't want to get clean, the only thing you can do is call the cops on them, snitch on them, which I'm totally against. However, I would do in a second to anyone in my family like my sister, which is something I'm probably planning on doing. Because at the end of the day, if she passes away and I didn't do everything in my power to get her better, I'll regret that for the rest of my life. And regrets are literally the worst thing you could live with. I think the most you hold that for that weight, it weighs you down. But to go back to your point or to your question about, why I got clean, what people should understand about it is I love being clean. I've always wanted to be clean. I've never wanted to be the way I am. When I'm horrible at my job. When I'm using, my brain is foggy. My cognitive thinking is off. I'm not out of everybody's life. I isolate myself. I'm a hermit. And so I like being clean. Being clean, I listen to music. I can feel. I like feeling, right? When you numb yourself with drugs, you don't feel. You're not yourself. You're not your authentic self.
You told me that.
And even the people that use recreationally, actually, no, recreation, I'm not against recreational drug use because if you can handle it and it's once a month, twice a month, whatever. But if you're more than that, and you should try to get clean because you realize life is, 1,000 times better.
And by the way, you changed my perspective a little when I talked to you when you were in London because you told me that it's been 2-3 months with you clean and you explained to me the feeling and I immediately started thinking about myself. And I said, man, Like, even like I don't mess with any pills or anything like that. But, you know, I drink, you know. I'll do occasional smoking, you know.
Yeah.
And I just thought about that for a second. I said, when's the last time I stopped drinking, stopped smoking, you know? And I got clean for 2-3 months because what you were telling me was, man, it's so much different. You said, I feel in control. That's what you told me. And when you were telling me that, it was kind of like connecting with my whole body and soul. Like when you were saying that, I'm like, man, this guy's alive. He's fully alive and aware. And that, I believe, is better than any limitless drug or any Adderall or any like that shit. Like being aware and being totally sober and waking up with a clear mind with nothing affecting your dopamine or anything like that but natural things. You know, a cold shower, by the way, gives you more dopamine than
I do
cocaine?
it every morning. 30 seconds in the shower before I get out is the coldest water I can get. Is
It's
the
crazy.
best.
But you know what the crazy thing is? If they sold cold showers in the streets and it wasn't available for you at home, you know what would be happening? People would be like going to buy cold showers like crack. Okay,
Well, it's
because it gives you more dopamine than most drugs. You know
it's
that,
happening
right?
now, though. I mean, people are buying cold baths everywhere. I mean, it's the new thing.
Which is a good thing, but I'm just saying there's natural ways to get that dopamine and get that rush,
Absolutely.
but people don't seek it. But anyways, when you were telling me that, it just made me inspired to get clean because you felt like you were just a whole new person living a whole new pure life. And I'm like, damn, even drinking, I should stop that for 60 days and just see how I feel.
That's the key word. Pure, right? Everyone wants to be pure in any part of life or any form of anything, right? So, I mean, that's the key right there. I mean, why wouldn't you want to be your authentic self? When you're on drugs, you're not your authentic self. I'll tell you that much. You're complete opposite. Your personality isn't the same.
Yeah.
It's just, you know, it's different, man. But I like being clean and
Hefe, I'll take a refill when you get a chance. Keep going.
but
We got the Hefe in the house.
got the Johnny Walker
I just
Gold.
want to know who's buying cold
Thank you, that's good.
baths.
No, we do it warm.
Yeah.
All right, thank you, Hefe.
Bottle it?
Hey, we do it clean over here, brother.
They bottle cold bath?
Yeah, the cold bath is something that I don't do cold baths. I do cold showers, but I might buy a cold plunge this summer.
You should.
It's amazing, man. It's just the cold shower makes me feel alive again.
Have you ever tried the breathing technique?
Yes.
Do you know who Wim Hof is?
I don't know, but I heard a podcast that talked about the breathing technique that you do in the shower.
So it's the same type of idea as the shower, and when you breathe heavy nonstop for a few minutes, it gives you the same. It gives you that feel good. You know, the dopamine, the serotonin. It enlifts you. It enlightens you, I should say.
Yeah.
So it's the same type of deal.
Yeah. So being natural, being pure, that's the way to go. For everyone listening, you should definitely try it, because after I talked to you, I went on a 30-day cleanse thanks to you, and I experienced that myself. Now let's get back to your story. You seen me and you said you kept going, and you kept going down that path. Okay. What happened down that path? And then I want you to explain the breakthrough. What caused, because me and you didn't even talk about this yet, by the way. I don't know why you went to London. I don't know what caused the change. I don't know what caused you to stop. We never talked about this, which I'm glad we're talking about it here now first. So why don't you explain that to us?
So, I went out to London because I wasn't even at rock. Well, actually, I would say I was at rock bottom. I mean, I didn't get arrested, never overdosed. I've actually never overdosed in my life, but like I said, I've always wanted to be clean. And this, when COVID hit, it was rough for a minute, and I stayed clean for a little while, but that caused me to start using again. But when I went to London, it was more of like, this is it. At my age, my body can't take it anymore. I don't want to take it anymore. First of all, I love being clean, like I said. So I went out to London, and my brother.
Wait, did you go out to London before you got clean, or did you decide to get clean and go to London?
I went to London to get clean. So
Okay.
I literally did my last drugs before I got on the plane.
Yeah, but what caused that change for you to say, I'm done, I'm going to London? Because people listening that are maybe deep into it, or know someone that's deep into it, I'm just interested in what clicked for you to cause that change.
I've been battling this my whole life, over 20 years. No, I'm sorry, over 20. Yeah, about 15 years now. Oh, 25 years, actually. It always clicks for me. I want to be clean all the time.
Yeah.
This time around, it got bad. I was running out of money, spending, thousands of dollars a month. But it wasn't the money. The most important thing was my health I want to have kids. I want to have a family. But overall, I want it to be clean. I want my brain back. I want my cognitive thinking back. I want to have my relationships back. I want to have my family back. I want to help my family when they, but they tell you in the program, to stay away even from your family if they're still, drugging. But so that was really it. To be honest, every time I've gotten clean, it's always been just because I wanted to. It's never been I went to jail. It's never been I OD'd. It's never been, even when my brother overdosed, I relapsed 2 days after his funeral. So, that just shows you how drug addiction is. I should have never used it again after my brother passed away, but instantly I was in the streets already. So, but I went to London, stayed out there with my brother for, 2 months. And it was amazing. I had no temptation to use, and I had just time to dry out, and it was awesome. And then after I felt a little bit better, we went to Amsterdam, we went to Paris, and we had a great time. And it was just magical, man, because when you're sober, that's another thing. When you're sober, when you're not sober and you're out and traveling and experiencing things with your family or friends or loved ones, you don't remember it. If you're drugged out or even if you're just wasted, you don't remember it. Mm-hmm. Don't you want to remember a sunset? Don't you want to remember a good walk down, right next to the Eiffel Tower, or even in Amsterdam at the red light district?
You remember everything vividly?
Oh yeah. But I could tell you I went on a vacation to, let's say Dominican Republic, and if I was drugging there, I don't remember any of it. So if you're going to spend a bunch of money with family, friends, or a loved one and go on vacation, but you're going to be drugging the whole time, what's the point? You're not going to remember when you get home.
Yeah.
So
that's fire, man. If I could drop a bomb right now, I'd drop it. That was deep. Because the majority of money spent on vacations is money that you go on fucked up and you come back not remembering anything.
Think about that.
Yeah, it's crazy.
No, really think about that. But not even that. What about a wedding? You know how many people I see that spend $100,000 on a wedding and they're completely shit-faced the entire time?
Yeah.
Why?
Where's the sentimental value?
Bro, don't you want chills? Don't you want to cry a little bit? Life's not about being numb and having anxiety so you want to do some coke or do some heroin or take some pills or drink a fifth of vodka. What is that? So you could act like an idiot in front of everybody? That's just retarded. And it doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
There's a reason for all of it, that's for sure.
It's not retarded. It's actually just not good. Sorry about that.
There's a reason for all of it, for sure.
Yeah.
There's a reason for all of it. There is. People want to let loose, man. People are not comfortable. Like, let's say for me, for what I drink before I go to weddings.
But
Why?
Do you drink a little or a lot?
No, I don't get, the last time I got wasted, I had stitches in my head.
You're saying going to a wedding, right? I mean, if you're in the wedding or if...
No, at my wedding, I had a couple of drinks. I didn't get wasted.
No, but you're
I remember every single thing that happened at my wedding.
Oh, actually, going to your wedding, I actually missed your wedding because, I don't think we talked... Actually, we haven't talked about that, but yeah that's obviously...
Yeah, Hefe, you missed my wedding too,
yeah, Hefe, what's going on, brother?
Yeah, I'm over here, man.
You missed my wedding.
I'm not on camera.
I invited you, though.
What's going on, man?
He was supposed to drive me. He was fucked up.
All right, so you fucked up 2 people there. It's all good.
See?
You guys will come to my son's birthday. You'll make up for it. But yeah, I'm just saying people usually do that stuff because the reason I do it is because I'm trying to make it a little more interesting. I guess, man, it's kind of a fucked up concept now that I think about it. It's like we're trying to escape natural life. And
you just hit it on the head.
Yeah, we're trying to escape
That's it.
Natural life.
Full stop there.
But natural life is so precious. Why are we trying to escape it?
Because most people, especially nowadays, have, anxiety issues, social anxiety issues, or they think they need to be on something to have fun. I think that's the most misconception out there is that I think I have I know I have the most fun sober.
Problem.
Think about when you listen to music. When you listen to music sober, it affects your soul. Literally affects your soul. You get chills, and that's what it's all about. That's what life's all about. You want to feel.
I'm guilty of it too, man. I'm drinking, my Johnny here. I can't remember the last why I've done a podcast with a coffee, but still there's a coffee or there's a Johnny or there's a cigar or there's a cigarette. There's always something though, you know what I mean? And I realize that there's always something there. Why is there always something there? And how could I get rid of that something, And I know a lot of people that do. Like my brother Wesley, man. That guy could be anywhere with nothing. He didn't take his first drink till his fucking late 30s. And he tried it and he said, I'm good. Never smoked a single thing in his life. And the guy's just all natural. natural guru, bro. Just fucking
That's
like a
amazing.
Buddhist, you know. And he's blessed
And
off
you
life.
envy that in a way, right?
Yeah, like I look up to it, man. It inspires me really because I feel like everyone I know there's always something. You always got to have something there,
Right.
you know. Maybe I'll challenge myself to do the next podcast with nothing, you know.
I know you can do it.
Of course I could.
And that's also an important thing to remember when you're an addict, or if you know someone's addict. It's all about willpower. And the humans, the Homo sapien has the best willpower there is. I mean, if you don't want to do it and you truly want to be sober, but you have to have the tools around you. You can't just say, I want to be sober, and then stop doing everything. You have to be around good people.
Yeah, it starts with who you live with, you know, and who you surround yourself with the most. Like when my wedding was coming up and, you know, I wanted to lose a little weight before my wedding. Like, it'd be hard to do that when my wife said, I'm going to do it with you. We're going to lose some weight. And when she was cooking the meals and she was, like, doing it and right in front of me and I lived with her, I'm like, I'm good. I lost 25 pounds in a month because she was right there.
Nice.
But when I'm trying to diet and my wife's not dieting and there's a conflict right there, like, I break that shit all the time. So I really think that it's really about your surroundings first. And then it's about what you do to keep your mental game. Like, I had consulting today with somebody, you know, and he's in a slump. He's in a slump because his parents are very toxic relationships, split up, and they put him in the middle of everything, you know? And this is causing him to slack at work, and it's causing him to be behind on his bills. And me and him went over, like, so in my book, you know, the 10 Keys of Sales, I talk about zones in chapter 1. Your life's split up into zones. You have your personal zone, right? Your personal zone is like your health, your me time, which is very important. You know, they say you should spend at least 2 nights a week by yourself.
Absolutely.
With nobody else. Then you have your family zone. And you have your work zone. Then you have your passion zone. Like this right here is a passion zone. I'd say that because I enjoy doing this with you. If you could find dedicated time to spend in every single zone, it's going to be hard for you to fall in depression or fall behind. I find a lot of times that people that fall in these depressions, they spend the majority of their time in one zone fully, and then unfocused in a second zone and nothing in the third or fourth zone. So for example, somebody works for 90% of the time. Then they spend 10% with their family of unquality time, or 10% of their friends, or 10% with their spouse or significant other. And they go to sleep and they do that again. That would cause you to burn out because you're not living for the right reasons. But if I wake up in the morning, which I do now, and I try to do my miracle morning, where I work out, I meditate, do the cold shower, read, goals, gratitude. Then I go to work and I shut off my phone, and I block out everything and I work. Then I spend time with my son and my wife. Then at night, after they go to sleep, I'm spending time here with you. Like, that's a fulfilled life for me. So I'd say for everybody listening, try to spend time in every single zone. And more importantly, try to dedicate it uninterrupted time in those zones. Because this kid right here was telling me that he goes to work, but he takes a call from his parents. They fight. He's dealing with it, and he goes back to work. I told him, I said, listen, call your parents with all due respect. I love you guys. I'm in the middle. From now on, I'm going to handle your issues from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. You guys are bringing me down at work. It's making me fall apart, and I need this time for myself. So I'm going to have my phone off. I'll call you guys every day at 8, and I'll take care of your shit. I said, at least with that one phone call, now you can take care of that shit from 8 to 9. You don't have to take care of that shit all day long. So you could be focused at work with no distraction, because one thing distracts you and it throws you off. Think of it like stones being thrown at you while you're trying to climb a mountain. You don't want any stones being thrown at you. How do you avoid the stones? You get rid of distractions. You get rid of anything negative. And I told him when I close that door to my office, because everybody has shit going on in their lives.
Right.
You know, when I close that door in my office, you know what I do? The pile of shit in my life is right outside that fucking door.
Absolutely.
And then, you know what? When I get off work and I clock out, I'll pick up that pile of shit and I'll handle it. But when I'm in that office, that pile of shit's outside. So whatever's going on in my life, I'll handle it later. You know why? Because if I don't do good at work, that pile of shit gets bigger. But if I do good at work, I could, release some of that shit.
That's another bomb right there, by the way.
That's a bomb right there.
A bomb and a half.
And that's my philosophy, and that's what I help. So in my mindset trainings and sessions I do with people, that's the main thing I talk about, is having them spend time in their passion, family, work, and their personal zone, which a lot of people don't spend personal time in. The time I have with myself is the most precious time. I love my wife. I love my son. When I go on vacation, I love those times, but I also love the times where I wake up at 6 a.m. and my wife and my son are still sleeping. I go to the beach and I look at the waves for an hour. I almost died in Cancun. You know what I did after?
I remember that. I saw
Yeah,
that
I
on
got
your
stuck.
IG.
I got stuck in a current, and I almost died, and it was real, and nobody was there for my family or friends. They're all in the rooms because we just got there. I went to the ocean by myself with a red flag, and I was swimming, and I lost my balance, and I couldn't touch the floor, and I tried to swim back, and the waves sucked me back, and I was screaming for help, and I got saved at the end. But I got saved literally when I was swallowing so much salt water, and I seen the light, and when I came out, man, like that was a realization in itself. I laid down in the sand and everybody from the hotel was coming up to me. Are you okay? I'm like, yeah, I'm good. Just give me some time. And I laid down for like a good hour staring at the sky, and I said, damn, it could have been gone right here in Cancun on my day one. You know, and I'm fucking sitting here complaining about A, B, and C, and I'm fighting about A, B, and C. I could be gone tomorrow. I'm complaining about the market. You know, what am I talking about here? I could be gone tomorrow. Like, look, we're here, bro. We're fucking here.
Absolutely.
You know, we're here, man.
Someone's
we're here.
looking out
Hefe's
for it.
here, man. We're fucking here.
Cheers.
We met fucking 6 years ago. Cheers to your water, man. Cheers, Hefe, to your beer. We're gonna see Hefe one of these days. He's gonna get on camera.
He's a little shy,
But we're here.
No, fantasy football draft special.
but we're here, man. You know, and like that's the realization I came to, man. Is that all this stuff we're complaining about, one thing could happen. I'm in the hospital, cancer, God forbid. Nothing else matters. Nothing else matters, man. It's crazy. And I think about death all the time, bro. It's a scary thought. It's like everything could end, you know? And besides the faith and the religion and where you go after that, I'm not even going to get that deep right now, but I'm just saying, like, I don't want everything to end. And you should want everything to end if you're faithful. I don't want everything to end. And the fact that everything could end keeps me up and keeps me happy and keeps me positive and keeps me motivated. So I had a good friend that died of overdose, you know, and I didn't cry at the funeral. Although I wanted to cry, I just couldn't cry because I was so upset that he would do that to himself.
You were mad.
I was mad.
Yeah.
Not sad, I was mad. I mean, I was sad. Of course I was sad, but I couldn't cry. I don't know. I was just... I was so upset to see his mom and his dad, and like... And I tried with this guy so many times, taking him on rides and telling him, like, I got you, loaning him money, bro. Please, you can't do this. And the fact that it ended like that, I was so upset, man. I was really upset.
Well, so never enable. So enabler is what they call it, is where someone will give money to a drug addict if they're out of money. They'll give them a ride. They'll give them a place to live in a motel, like my triple brother did to my brother that passed away. My whole family enables everybody but me.
So you're saying never lend out a hand to anybody that...
Absolutely not. You run away. If they don't want the help and they're asking you for money and they're actually trying to use you, you pull back and you say absolutely not until you're ready to get clean. You know, it's the only way to do it, because you don't want to see him in a coffin. You don't want to see him in jail. And to be honest, you just don't want to see him using.
Yeah.
You know, when you're in the cycle of addiction, it's...
Nothing else matters.
It doesn't... People don't realize it. They think, oh, they could just get clean. It's a choice. It's absolutely not. It's... The best example... I mean, cigarettes, it's a good example. I mean, you know, people say, why don't you stop smoking cigarettes? You know, certain people, it's hard to. But the best example or the best analogy would be Tom Brady. So Tom Brady came back this... Obviously, it's... Well, actually, I would say there's withdrawal to that too, because when you're on the field, you got the dopamine rush, you got the serotonin rush,
Yeah, true.
and when you get off the field, you're like, what am I going to do now?
But at least it's a better drug, you know? Which is the point that we've been making today.
No, exactly. No, it's a good high.
Yeah, I'm saying that
it's a natural
there's natural highs
And
that get
actually,
you the same thing.
I didn't even bring that up. Absolutely. That's what it is. That's what it's all about. We all get natural highs with everything. If you eat a good steak after you leave the restaurant, you feel great. You get a little tired, but that's because you're chilling, you know?
Yeah.
So that's a great example. Or if you go for a good workout, like you always talk to me about, you know, you work out every day for your mental, not for what you look like.
Yeah.
That's a great example. And that's what you got to do to keep clean, is you got to work out. You got to be around good people, you know?
So what I'm getting from you, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think for everybody that's addicted to something, or even not addicted to something, but just trying to find some more balance and stability and motivation in their life,
There you go.
find something natural that gives you the same dopamine as a drug. Would you say? You
Absolutely.
agree?
Oh, well, it depends who you talk to. In my experience, absolutely. But some people will tell you, if you replace, you know, the drug, you know, feel good for something else that does the exact same thing, that could turn into addiction that surprisingly still could be bad. For instance, poker, gambling. So even like they tell you in the
Gambling's a horrible addiction.
So yeah, because you get that rush, right? Or it's an obsession you get, you know, and it's so, you know, you actually, I would say if you're an addict, a full-blown addict, or even like you said, want balance in your life, stay away from anything or do things in balance. I'm a Libra. I don't know. What are you?
Virgo. Right
I
on
knew
the
you were a
cusp.
Virgo. But yeah, so I'm a Libra, so it's kind of funny because I need balance in my life, and that's probably why I like staying, that I want to be clean, is because I don't have balance, so I want it so bad, you know?
Wait, so let me get this straight, okay? You tell me what I am right now, all right? I've done things before. I haven't got addicted to them. I do smoke cigarettes every day. Am I addicted? I guess I am. Could I stop if there was money on the line? I think I could. But I still smoke cigarettes till today. How do I have, like, I feel like I could choose my addictive. I'm not addicted to alcohol. I'm not addicted to mad drugs. I'm not addicted to marijuana. I'm not addicted to junk food because I've dieted before. I do smoke cigarettes. I feel like if my life was on the line, I could quit it. If I needed to quit it, I could. How do I pick and choose the addiction? Do I have an addictive personality, or do I just like cigarettes? Like,
Do you want me to be honest?
yeah.
You have a very addictive personality.
So why is it only cigarettes that I still do?
But
and
you're
I can stop everything?
Well, if do you want to stop smoking? Because if you don't, then like I said, you have to. The first part so the first step.
Well, how come I never got addicted to everything else, but I still smoke cigarettes?
Because it's not going to give you the same rewards that the other stuff will. Gambling will give you more dopamine.
Like gambling, that's a perfect example. I got the app on my phone, like all my friends, FanDuel Sports, and I started watching UFC fights. And then, I loved UFC, and I got the rush just from UFC. And then it turned into putting 500 or 1,000 on the fights and then getting a bigger rush by after losing 7-8 times for fucking unforeseen events. Because Conor McGregor would break his fucking leg in the second round.
I love Conor.
Like, dumb shit like that would happen all the time. Like, you know what? This is just not my thing. And then after like a 7th time of losing, I just deleted the apps. I never looked back. So I feel like I don't have an addictive personality.
I would say you do. But I feel like you do in a way where it's you balance it out. Even though you're a Virgo, you balance it out. I really do think that. I feel like you to be honest, I don't know you well enough when it comes to like we said, I haven't, if I hung out with you for, the next 2 months straight, I'd be able to tell right away. But cigarettes is a little different, but it's still a strong addiction. But what's the downfall of cigarettes is so long-term cancer, down the road, that it's like you don't really see the consequences yet unless you're coughing up stuff. But
yeah. But if I ever came down to it, I'd probably cut it right away if I ever needed to.
Let me ask you a question. Do you ever use when you're working? Or anything, I'm talking. Do you ever feel the need to use a chemical or something to get you more motivated to work? Or to feel like maybe I can write 2 more loans if I take this or that? Or,
Not really. I was prescribed Adderall, but I took Adderall like on a once-a-week basis for a while, where it was just like my Monday start. But like I didn't take it every day because I understand the concept that if I take it every single day, my brain's going to be used to it. When I don't take it, I'm going to be a different kind of person. And also I took it one time where I didn't like the results of it. And it was a very, important moment in my life. And that kind of taught me a lesson. So I've replaced that with a Miracle Morning. So the Miracle Morning, I feel like, is my drug. Because when I don't do it, I feel like I'm not myself and I'm in a slump kind of. But when I work out, meditate, cold shower, all that stuff, and I wake up early, I feel like I'm myself and I'm on that drug. That is my drug, is my Miracle Morning. And that's why I promote it so much, because that is my morning drug. So maybe because of that took me off all the other stuff,
Absolutely. I think your Miracle Morning is awesome.
I mean, listen, man, I've been studying successful people for the last fucking 5 years, and every single one of them that's a millionaire or billionaire, they all have this like magical morning routine, and it's all different.
Can I cut you off real quick?
Yeah.
So Alex the Great, you don't need to be watching anybody because you're great at what you do.
Man, I appreciate that.
I know I'm being dead serious. I've told you this just from looking in from afar. Like you said, we haven't talked in a while, so I'm not just fluffing you up here, but people need to watch you.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, I think you're better than half the guys out there. I'm just not sure why your following hasn't caught up yet, but it will. And that's not the important thing. You're just trying to, help people out there in the world.
We're making the impacts
Exactly,
daily. Yeah.
exactly.
But no, I agree with you, man. And that's why I started doing my own thing, because I found that a lot of the people I was following, I'm like, all right, they're great. I've learned from them, but it's kind of like repetitive. So I said, you know what, let me start making my own content and start teaching others the same exact thing. And listen, I've churned, over 15 people. And just the company I work with, from almost getting fired or like not producing and not doing well, to many promotions and leadership roles, And now I'm mentoring people from Idaho and California. One guy does a car detail shop that I'm mentoring in Idaho. One guy signed up in Cali that's a broker. One guy signed up in Florida that has novelty distribution company. And I'm helping them all out, and they're sending me videos and they're sending me results. And I'm like, this is what I do and this is what I love doing. So we're going to keep growing and keep impacting people.
I'm excited for you. Yeah. I'm excited for the whole team. I think things are going to start
I'm
moving
excited
over
for
here.
you too, man. I'm glad you're here, man. I mean, you've been 3-4 months now clean. You look great. You feel great.
Thank you.
You're a smart guy. That's why I call you. That's why I talk to you, or else I wouldn't have you on the show. So I do value you, man. I think you're very intelligent. I think you got a long way to go as far as your value, man. You bring a lot of value, and I think you're going to do a lot of things in your life. Just stay on that right track.
Appreciate it.
This show is called ShotCast, so it's like a shot of inspiration, you know.
Not a shot of dope.
Not a shot of dope, shot of inspiration. So we like to end it with one shot, man. So for everybody listening, maybe that's struggling with the same kind of things, what's one thing you could leave them with that can maybe help them out or guide them?
The corny Reagan term would be don't do drugs or just say no, right? But that's not the case.
Yeah.
What I would leave with is think about this. So I don't know, driving in a car, this is going to sound a little weird, but what it's all about is I like to feel my soul, right? I don't know how else to explain it. I like to feel like the being. I like to be connected with the universe. And when you're on a substance, whether you're abusing it or not, let's just be honest, you are not connected with anything. You're just numb and you're not yourself. You're not your original, your authentic self. So I would say, if you want to, obviously prosper and be your authentic self, the only way is balance. And if you can't balance and you are an addict or have that in your life, or even just want change, you want to take a step back and look at the things that you're passionate about, things that you want to do in life, and realize that if you're on a substance or if you're just doing things that are not right, it's not going to get you there. Right. And again, I just like to feel. I like to, listen to music and be able to get goosebumps. I like to be able to watch a movie and cry. When you're on drugs or doing things like that, it just doesn't happen. So I like to be present too. I'm not present. My big thing is I love to be present. I like to be present in the moment. So if you want to be present, be clean.
Awesome, man. I appreciate that. My shot to everybody listening would be to focus on your zones in your life. And I mentioned them before and I'll mention them again. You have your family zone, you have your work zone, you have your passion zone, you have your personal zone. Try to allocate time every single day to each one of these zones. And the reason I'm telling you this is because everybody that I've done this with has made changes in their life for the better. And they tell me, they feel it, they see it. It's like, man, I walked my dog this morning and I sat down on a hill and I just feel much better to start my day. It's like just those simple, small things. Everyone always asks, what's the one thing? What are you doing? What makes you successful? How'd you make all this money? It's never one thing. It's all the small things done consecutively on top of each other that make you a great human being, a successful human being. So I would tell you, focus on those areas in your life, quality time, uninterrupted time. Spend time in those zones. Get rid of all distractions. Get rid of all bad atmospheres. And start focusing on your growth, like Matty Feldy said. So thanks a lot for being here, brother.
I appreciate it.
You had something else to say? Go ahead. Hit us with the last nugget.
Besides that, I love you and I appreciate you. I don't know. I think we've hit on everything. I just hope that people understand and take value out of what we just talked about.
I appreciate you for coming out here and talking about it, because obviously it's not an easy topic to talk about.
I'm sweating. It's giving me a lot of anxiety, but I want to help people out, and I want to show people that, to be honest, being clean is way cooler than being on drugs.
100%, man.
And not just that, having a balanced life in general is just better. If you're blowing coke every weekend, you're obviously, even if you don't think you're an addict if you're blowing coke every weekend. But,
you're not truly happy.
Right. Or if you want to be real, I think the new epidemic in this country is Adderall. So you heard it first here on the ShotCast, and this is no joke, I'm dead serious about this. The next epidemic in this country is Adderall, and it will soon happen as soon as...
they're feeding it to kids so young, too.
Yeah, that's another ShotCast.
That's another ShotCast. We got to get out of here, man. Don't do Adderall. Stay clean. Matty Feldy out here, baby.
Oh, yeah, baby.
Thanks for coming out, baby. It's ShotCast. Have faith.
Have faith.
Fill up our drink, baby. Come here. Then come to my wedding.